Welcome back to this week's podcast. I am Heilin Lee, your host, and today I am with
Elena Atwater.
and we're gonna start off with the topics of books, and we're gonna generalize everything about it. So first, I want to talk about like the reading slump people get in like basic like book society. So what my knowledge about like the reading slump that people get into is that they tend to like they get stuck on like a book. I actually experienced this. That's why I want to like talk about it. They get like stuck on a book that they were like, "Oh my god, this book is so good." So have you ever like experienced that like yourself?
I don't really know if I think I got into the reading slump once where it was after Crime and Punishment. It was like, wow, that was like kind of torture to read. Cuz the way Dostoevsky writes is just so he's like a yapper, like a D1 yapper. And it's just like there's like 3 pages of him describing how like someone's hair looks or something. And it was like after that I just kind of like didn't read for a bit because like it was like the opposite. Like it was just so like grueling to get through. It was just like, guys, maybe I can take a break for a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like also like how you said about like the writing. I feel like with like the writing, when people try to like try something new or like read something new, they're like, this is not really my style, but like I'm trying to force myself to like it. So then they like just like stop midway and then move on to like a new book. Do you have like any specific like genre that you like prefer or?
So a genre I prefer in reading is I really like realistic fiction, I guess, but like I also like classics.
Oh yes.
I don't know, I just enjoy Fyodor Dostoevsky. Like Crime and Punishment was like definitely grueling to get through, but like at the end of the day I like his works because they're just so like deep, I guess.
Has like any book, maybe that book, but like has any book like really like made you have like a realization in like your life or like any emotional connection to it?
I can't really think of one off the top of my head, but there was one book that I read in I think 5th grade. It was Bridge to Terabithia.
Uh-huh.
And spoiler alert, when one of the characters dies, like one of the two main characters, I was like really like, oh my god, she's just dead. Like like it was just like so shocking. If I can I don't exactly remember how she dies, but I think like there was like this crabapple tree, and then I think there was like a river under it, and she was like in the river, like dead. I think that's how it was. I can't really remember it, but that's just like what makes most sense.
Uh-huh.
But it was just like such like I just had such an emotional reaction. I was like, oh my god, she's dead. That was like the first time that I had really read a book and like been so connected to just characters because I don't know what it was about the book, but I just kept reading it, and I was like really invested in the story.
Maybe not off the top of your head, but like have in like your reading the books that you've read, have you ever, because you said you like reading realistic fiction, was it? And have you ever like read something and was like, I wish this was my life in reality, but you know like it would never like come true in reality?
Oh, see, the books that I read, it's not like this is my reality. It's like I hope this doesn't turn out to be my reality.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and so it's more like some of the books that I read, it's like, oh wow, that's really scary.
Yeah.
Mid-20s does not seem like that much fun.
Oh, so you have like those. So it like affects like your future perspectives on like. So it does like have like an impact on what you think.
Yeah, because I don't like I also read like short excerpts online from honestly like wherever I can find them. Just because like I don't really like committing to novels that much. But from what I do read, it's just like people talking about like their feelings and like the worst parts of themselves. And so like that's just kind of like what scares me. But it's like it hits deep, but like I don't think I've lived long enough to experience what they're talking about. It's just
but you would never want to.
Yeah, I like reading about it just because it's like interesting that this is something that happens in people's lives and it really sucks.
I know, and I feel like some people don't actually realize it. Like people like people would read something and then they don't realize it actually happens to people.
Yeah,
because they're like comparing their lives to other people and they're like, this could never happen, you know, and they like don't imagine it.
Yeah.
So it's like so crazy to think about it. Do you have like any concerns in like the book in books in like society and like in our community.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like banned books is like huge problem, especially when there's a common theme among the banned
Yeah.
books, and they all have to do with like a dictatorship of some sort. And it's like the
Yes.
fact that those ones are the ones being banned, I feel like it really says something about what they're trying to, or what the government
It's
is
like
trying
not
to hide.
trying to provide knowledge about.
Exactly.
Actually, I was actually very surprised about this. I went to Barnes and Noble like a week ago on Sunday, and saw like a table and it was like banned books, and I was like actually so surprised to see so many of the books, because I know freshman year reread two of the books that are becoming banned books, which was Lord of the Flies and Fahrenheit.
Yeah, Fahrenheit 451.
And then there was another one that
To Kill a Mockingbird.
To Kill a Mockingbird, and there was I forgot what it was called. It was Mouse.
Oh, I love
Mouse,
Mouse.
that
Mouse
one.
is
And I
so
was like,
good.
it's so crazy to think that like these books are being considered to be banned, but we read it in school, and now it's not going to be something that other kids are going to be knowledgeable about it.
Right? Like it's like the entire English curriculum, guys.
Yeah, literally. And I feel like it's necessary for kids to know this, to
yeah.
understand like how our society works, how like in the government, our like political aspects in our country and
Yeah,
stuff like
I
that.
think it's like really important for us to like be able to identify what dictatorship looks like, so that if it ever happens to us, we know like what's going on.
Exactly.
And I think that's what, the government is trying to do, like, because they don't want us knowing. If we can stay dumb, then it's like they can do whatever they want, because we
Exactly.
won't know.
And I feel like especially our generation, I feel like we're a lot more knowledgeable about like what's going on in like the political aspects in our community, which I think is so necessary, because like a couple years ago, I don't really hear like my like peers like talking about this, but lately I hear about it so much, and it's like crazy to think that I was so unaware before, and now I'm just like, wow, like this is actually like what society we live in.
Yeah, no, like I've been experiencing the exact same thing. Like I was like, dang, like as a kid, I just thought the world was so like perfect.
Yeah, I know,
I thought my world was just like gonna be amazing. And then when I grow up, it's like, oh wait, things are actually happening, and I'm actually really scared.
Have you ever read The Giver?
The Giver. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, the one about
It's like
Yeah,
a
the guy.
perfect society.
the perfect society,
The
and they're like
utopian society. Yeah.
and then they're like, don't use the word love.
Yeah.
It's too strong.
Yeah, and it's just like, it's like crazy to think about how like the books that they're trying to ban all relate towards like a society, or like a stereotype of like the society that we can live in, or we live in right now.
Yeah, like, and I don't know, just like the fact that they're banning those books, I feel like is like a warning sign.
I
like,
know, yeah.
It feels like a wake up call, almost like, wow, they're actually trying to dumb us down. Like they
Yeah.
really don't want us to know what's going on in our society.
Do you have any other concerns like based on this about like books, or in general like in our society?
Honestly, I'm just like concerned with like our leadership, I guess, because if these books, they obviously have a common theme of dictatorship. And if the government is trying to ban those, what does that say about them? They're trying to keep it like they don't want us to be able to identify if our like government is just a dictatorship or like totalitarian or whatever. Like, did they just not want us knowing so that they can do whatever they want? That's kind of scary to think about, that our own government is like doing that to us.
I know, and I think that like overall it should be like a concern for especially our generation when we grow up, because I feel like especially during this time it's gonna affect us the most when we like go out and we get like older. So I feel like everyone has to be like know what like the situation we're in right now. That's why it's so important to be informed and like know what's going on around us. And I think everybody should like
Exactly. Like I always tell my brother, read banned books. You need to read banned books. Like
it's like you know more. Like it's just like
Exactly.
you're like, oh my gosh. I feel like that's like the realization. You're like, wow. Like if I never read this, I would have never known. Like the comparisons.
yeah, like I don't know. I feel like there's a reason they're taught in English curriculum because they're genuinely so powerful. And I think that when books are like powerful enough to scare an entire like country's government, I guess, then that really says something about the book. And
then
I think
I just think that like I'm so glad that we read it in like our freshman year, and like it really like opened our eyes, and to have like conversations about it, because it's not like we just read it, but we like talked about it in our classes, and we were able to have like Socratic seminars and stuff like that in my class. So props to my English teacher, but I think that like hearing everyone else's opinion, like they know, like they're like they, because normally, in like when we say we have to read a book, normally kids don't read it. But I feel like these books, like people were actually interested in reading them. So it says something about like the book specifically.
Exactly. Like I remember like in 8th grade, people just like were not interested in the books that we were reading, but they weren't like the banned books. They were just like
they were just normal
fiction, whatever. But like these ones, I like understood people were reading them.
Exactly.
And it's like I actually felt like people were a little more engaged than they would have been. And maybe that's just like a maturity thing, but I also think that's because these books can also like reflect real societies today.
And it's just like crazy to think about it. But overall, I think it's very important to have knowledge about these stuff. And you should read books and read the news.
Exactly. And guys, can we talk about the political and economic state of the world right now?
Yes, I feel like everyone, like especially our generation, should know about all of this. But if you have anything else to add?
Just read banned books. Like, read banned books, stay knowledgeable, don't let the government tell you anything. Figure it out for yourself.
Yes, but other than that, I think that's it. Thank you for joining us for this week's podcast.